Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Ready for a healthy, stress-free back-to-school season? Thrive Market's got your back with easy, high-protein meals, brain-boosting lunchbox staples, and low-sugar snack packs. Everything to simplify your busy mornings. Their groceries are high quality and no junk. Over 1,000 sketchy ingredients restricted and all trusted by parents so you can shop worry-free. Plus, their big back-to-school sale makes it the perfect time to stock up. Go to thrivemarket.com/podcast for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Ready for a healthy, stress-free back-to-school season? Thrive Market's got your back with easy, high-protein meals, brain-boosting lunchbox staples, and low-sugar snack packs. Everything to simplify your busy mornings. Their groceries are high quality and no junk. Over 1,000 sketchy ingredients restricted and all trusted by parents so you can shop worry-free. Plus, their big back-to-school sale makes it the perfect time to stock up. Go to thrivemarket.com/podcast for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Hello, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Toby.
And this is the Whispering Woods podcast. This episode is all about
the WAVERTREE bus incident.
This is such a great story, and it's a great one to come back to after our summer break.
Yeah.
But first of all, if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/The Whispering Woods, where for £2.50 a month you can listen completely ad-free, and for £4.50 a month you can listen to this podcast and our other podcasts obscurata ad-free. We're also now on Apple Premium, where for $4.99 you can listen to both podcasts absolutely free. All the links are in the podcast notes, along with our social media, if you'd like to come along and say hello. 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 Right. So this is a great story. I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the story?
Yes, I am.
WAVERTREE, now an inner suburb of Liverpool, was once a distinct village with its own landmarks and local character. An example is the 18th century WAVERTREE lockup, a tiny octagonal jail on the village green, built in 1796 as a junk tank for overnight offenders. By the mid-20th century, WAVERTREE was fully part of Liverpool's urban landscape, yet it kept its local pubs, greens and Victorian-era fixtures that gave a small-town feel alongside the expanding city around it. In the early 1960s, public transportation in Liverpool was dominated by buses. The city's extensive tram network had been completely shut down in 1957, after which Liverpool was served entirely by buses. Liverpool Corporation Transport operated numerous bus routes, radiating from the city centre to outlying districts like WAVERTREE. Route 79 was one such line, a well-travelled bus route running from central Liverpool, Pier Head, out toward the south-east suburbs, areas like Belleville and Halewood via WAVERTREE. In 1961, the number 79 bus route was a vital artery through WAVERTREE's High Street and neighbouring roads, typically carrying heavy passenger loads. Buses of that era were double-decker vehicles, staffed by both a driver and a conductor who collected fares, a common setup before one-man bus operation became the norm. Residents of WAVERTREE and nearby districts would have relied on the 79 for daily travel, so it was usually busy. This context makes the events of one night in 1961 all the more unsettling. What should have been a routine bus ride through familiar streets instead became one of Liverpool's most bizarre urban legends. In 1961, sources indicate it was a winter evening, reportedly a Sunday in January of that year. A number 79 double-decker bus set out on its usual route through WAVERTREE with a full complement of passengers. The driver, identified only as Doug, was a 22-year-old who normally didn't cover this line, but was filling in due to a staffing shortage from illness. The ride through WAVERTREE's main thoroughfare started uneventfully as the bus travelled along the high street. However, as the bus approached the junction of High Street and Prince Alfred Road, near the old thatched house pub at WAVERTREE High Street's corner, Doug noticed something unusual ahead. A metal sign labelled "Diversion" suddenly appeared on the road, an arrow on it pointing the bus off its normal course and directing it rightward onto Prince Alfred Road. Following what appeared to be official instructions, Doug announced to the riders that the bus would divert from its usual path. He turned the bus down Prince Alfred Road, passing the thatched house pub landmark, and proceeded along a quieter side street called Folly Lane toward Church Road. This detour was unexpected. Many regular passengers had been prepared to get off at the usual stops along the normal route and were caught off guard. Some grumbled but stayed seated when they realised the bus was being rerouted. Still, nothing seemed overtly amiss at first. Diversions for roadworks or accidents were not unheard of. Passengers lightly assumed there was some obstruction ahead on the normal route, and that the driver was simply following transit protocol by obeying the diversion sign. As the bus continued along the unfamiliar back road, Folly Lane leading to Church Road, the atmosphere began to change. The street they were on was notably deserted, unusually empty of traffic and pedestrians, especially given that it was an evening when typically some cars or people would be about. The surroundings grew darker and quieter. Then abruptly, the bus itself became incapacitated. The engine sputtered and died without warning. Doug tried pressing the accelerator and turning the ignition, but the vehicle rolled to a halt near the intersection of Folly Lane and Hunters Lane, and the motor cut out entirely. Despite multiple attempts, the engine refused to restart. Now the situation had become worrisome. A fully loaded bus was stranded on a dim, empty street in WAVERTREE. Doug peered out and saw there were no other vehicles on the road. No headlights ahead or behind. As if the bus had entered a pocket of isolation, he and his conductor, a man named Cyril, may have exchanged concern about what to do next. Normally, procedure would be to radio for assistance or get out to inspect the bus. But before the driver or conductor could take those steps, something far more bizarre and frightening unfolded. As the passengers sat in confusion at the breakdown, strange figures suddenly appeared outside. Seemingly from nowhere, 9 individuals dressed in black hooded robes were now moving around the stalled bus. The appearance was startling and inexplicable. Moments earlier, the road had been completely empty. These figures were cloaked head to foot in heavy black robes, reminiscent of monks or some occult order. They formed a rough circle around the vehicle, positioning themselves at various points around the bus. Through the windows, passengers could see the dark silhouettes of these entities against the faint street lighting. Inside, murmurs of alarm spread among the riders. It's worth emphasising that at this point, multiple passengers were witnessing the same phenomenon. Strange hooded figures encircling their bus in the dark. Reactions ranged from confusion to growing fear. Some might have thought it was a prank, or perhaps some form of robbery about to happen, given that the figures clearly were not police or road workers, and had appeared right after the bus's engine failed. Doug, from his driver's seat, was reportedly alarmed, but maintained enough presence of mind to observe the situation carefully. He noted that none of the figures were approaching the doors just yet. They simply stood, spaced around the bus, as if to ensure it stayed halted. Before anyone inside could decide how to act, one of the cloaked figures managed to enter the bus without the door opening. According to the accounts later given, this particular figure materialised inside the vehicle. In other words, the witnesses insist that neither the front door, which the driver controlled, nor the rear exit had been opened. Yet suddenly, a hooded intruder was standing in the aisle of the lower deck. This figure was described as tall and imposing, draped in the same black robe as the others outside. The face was completely concealed by a black mask or cloth that had only slits for the eyes. All that could be seen were a pair of eyes glinting unnaturally from behind the mask. Immediately, in a deep, commanding voice, the intruder addressed the entire bus. The message was both alarming and oddly mesmerising. "Don't attempt to leave. You are all under my power. You cannot leave," the hooded figure announced, according to later witness recollections. He further warned that none aboard would even be able to stand up from their seats. In essence, the figure was asserting control over the passengers, as if to hold them hostage. Passengers later recalled feeling a sudden heavy lethargy or paralysis come over them at that moment, as though the very words of the robed stranger carried a numbing power. Having made this pronouncement, the cloaked intruder began to walk slowly down the centre of the bus. As he moved, he repeated in a low, almost hypnotic tone, "Sleep, sleepy, go to sleep," over and over. There was a chilling effect to these words. One by one, the passengers, who moments before were anxious and in panic, fell silent and still. Several eyewitnesses later described feeling an irresistible drowsiness wash over them, as if they were anaesthetized or mesmerized on the spot. People's heads drooped and eyes closed against their will. It was as though the entire lower deck of the bus slipped into a collective trance. As this was happening, Cyril, the bus conductor, exhibited an especially strange reaction. Ordinarily, one might expect a conductor to challenge a trespasser or to try to protect the passengers. But Cyril did not shout or resist. Instead, witnesses say that Cyril quietly walked to the nearest open seat, sat down, and shut his eyes without a word. He succumbed instantaneously to the same pervasive drowsiness. This was out of character for the conductor, a man known to be alert and dutiful on the job. The fact that he too yielded without protest added to the eerie atmosphere. It was as if some mind-numbing influence had gripped everyone. Doug, the driver, watching from his seat, was astonished to see his colleague essentially join the entranced passengers. On the upper deck of the bus, a few passengers had also been present. One of them was a 16-year-old girl named Kathy. Kathy had the presence of mind, or perhaps simply the luck, to avoid immediate detection by the intruder. As the hooded figure made his way methodically upstairs to the top deck, presumably to subdue any riders there, Kathy hid herself. She's said to have crouched down behind a seat, keeping out of the robed figure's line of sight. Heart pounding, she listened to the stranger's footsteps and his monotone chants of sleep, sleep, as he moved through the upper deck. All around her, other passengers were slumped in their seats under the spell. Kathy realised that if she didn't act, she too would likely be overpowered or possibly harmed. She waited until the cloaked man had walked toward the front end of the top deck, momentarily away from the staircase. Summoning her courage, Kathy made a split-second decision to flee. She quietly rose from her hiding spot and crept to the back of the upper deck, where the stairs were located. In a burst of adrenaline, Kathy bolted down the stairwell towards the exit. Downstairs, she found the bus's front door oddly ajar, perhaps left slightly open by the intruder's unexplained entry, or maybe Doug had unlocked it at some point. Either way, there was just enough of a gap for her to make an escape. Without pausing, Kathy squeezed herself through the partially opened door and jumped off the bus to freedom. The night air outside was cold and still. Kathy broke into a sprint, running as fast as she could up Hunter's Lane in the direction of the main road which would lead to help. As she fled, she glanced back over her shoulder. To her horror, she saw that two of the hooded figures, presumably from the group that had surrounded the bus, were now chasing after her on foot. This only spurred her to run faster. The teenage girl raced up the dark lane, her pursuers not far behind, until she reached the brighter lights of Church Road North, a larger street. By a stroke of fortune, at the intersection of Hunter's Lane and Church Road North, near a local establishment called the Coffee House Pub, Kathy spotted a police officer on patrol. Gasping and terrified, she managed to reach the constable. It was clear to him at once that the girl was in a state of panic. She was breathless, wide-eyed, and could barely speak. Kathy tried to explain what had happened. likely an incoherent rush about a bus, hooded attackers and unconscious passengers. Recognising that something was seriously wrong, the officer calmed her enough to get the location and nature of the emergency. The policeman radioed for any nearby units and then headed toward the stranded bus immediately, instructing Kathy to remain where she was or to follow at a safe distance. When the officer arrived at the scene on Folly Lane minutes later, however, the mysterious assailants were gone. Not a single hooded figure was in sight around the bus. The road was as empty and silent as ever. What he did find was the bus itself, still stationary with its lights on, and inside he observed a deeply unsettling scene. The driver and all the passengers sat motionless in their seat, eyes open in blank stares. It was as if they were frozen in time or in some kind of catatonic state. The officer climbed aboard and attempted to rouse several people. He lightly checked for any physical injury first. None was apparent. Yet nobody responded to his voice or touch. The people were conscious but unresponsive, staring straight ahead with glassy eyes. After a few tense minutes of this, the spell, if that's what it was, finally broke. Collectively, the passengers and crew began to wake up from their trance-like state, while the policeman was present. They blinked, looked around in confusion, and slowly came back to their senses. Many were understandably startled to find a policeman standing among them and several people in distress. The officer immediately began questioning the driver, Doug, and the others as they became coherent. Initially, to the officer's surprise, no one could recall anything unusual. Doug could not immediately remember why the bus was there or what had happened after the diversion. His memory was blank for the past several minutes. The passengers likewise were disorientated. Some didn't even recall the hooded figures at first. It was as though the entire episode had been wiped from their short-term memory. Kathy, who had cautiously returned to the scene with the safety of the police presence, was likely the first to fill in the officer on what she had witnessed. Gradually, however, as about 10 minutes passed, the fog seemed to lift in the minds of the driver and passengers. Their memories of the bizarre incident returned, as if someone had flipped a switch, according to later accounts. One by one, they began to corroborate Kathy's story. The diversion sign, the breakdown, the hooded figures surrounding them, the masked leader boarding the bus and subduing everyone. The policeman now found himself hearing an incredible, almost unbelievable report from multiple sane, sober people. With the busload of people now alert and frightened, the policeman had to determine how to proceed. Another officer soon arrived at the scene as backup, given the strange circumstances. They surveyed the area for any sign of the mysterious robed individuals. No trace was found. No footprints or dropped items, and the surrounding streets were empty. The pursuing hooded figures who had chased Kathy had vanished as well. When the officers inspected the route the bus had taken, they discovered another puzzling fact. The diversion sign that had allegedly led Doug off course was nowhere to be found. They walked back up to WAVERTREE High Street, only a short distance away, and saw no barriers, no sign, and no evidence of roadworks or any legitimate reason to divert the bus. In other words, the detour had been a trap. The sign was seemingly a phantom or a deliberate plant that served to lure the bus and its occupants into a secluded area. Back at the bus, Doug tried the ignition again. This time, the engine started up normally on the first try. The mechanical failure that had so neatly coincided with the ambush was now gone, further deepening the mystery. The police officers faced a situation with plenty of eyewitnesses, but no concrete evidence. Dozens of passengers, plus the driver and conductor, all agreed something extraordinary had occurred. Yet the perpetrators left no sign. It's not recorded in detail what immediate action the police took. Likely they made a report of an incident and possibly alerted higher authorities. But with no suspect descriptions beyond faceless hooded figures and no physical proof, there was frustratingly little to go on. By all accounts, no one was physically harmed and nothing was stolen, so technically no crime, such as assault or robbery, could be clearly established beyond the frightening experience itself. In the hours and days following, the individuals involved were left to process what had happened. Witness testimonies were consistent about the facts: a detour, a breakdown, the appearance of 9 cloaked strangers, a feeling of being paralysed or hypnotised, and a brave girl's escape that brought help. Such a story was so bizarre that one can only imagine many of the passengers were hesitant to speak of it widely for fear of disbelief or ridicule. The event did not receive any immediate press coverage in 1961, as far as modern researchers can determine. It seems the incident was quietly filed away, perhaps only spoken of among those involved or local transit circles. A few locals later recalled hearing rumours of a weird bus occurrence back in the 1960s, but it remained an obscure tale for decades. This relative silence has led some to label the WAVERTREE bus incident as more folklore than verified history. Yet the number of people involved suggests it was more than a simple ghost sighting by one person. According to researcher Tom Sleeman, a Liverpool author who much later documented this case, the passengers, driver and conductor initially had about a 10-minute amnesia of the event, a detail which aligns with known effects of hypnosis or shock. After that, their memories flooded back clearly. This delayed recall is itself intriguing. It's as if whatever force was at work intended for them not to remember immediately. Perhaps to aid the escape of the hooded figures. Only Kathy, who never succumbed to the trance, remembered everything in real time. Such an aspect makes the case unique. It wasn't just a frightening apparition scene, but a complete manipulation of consciousness, affecting nearly everyone present. Modern reports also indicate that every piece of this story comes from the witnesses themselves recalling it later. There is no physical record of it happening aside from those recollections. No official Liverpool City Transport incident report or police file that's publicly available mentions hooded hypnotists stopping a bus. This lack of documentation is part of why the tale slid into the realm of urban legend. The WAVERTREE bus incident remains an open case in the annals of the unexplained. For the people who lived there, though, it was undoubtedly a traumatic and bewildering experience. Imagine being on your routine bus ride home and waking up to find a police officer and everyone around you dazed, then remembering that black-robed figures essentially took over your mind. It's the stuff of nightmares, and yet it sits there in local memory as something that really happened.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
It's that time of year again, back to school season, and Instacart knows that the only thing harder than getting back into the swing of things is getting all the back to school supplies, snacks, and essentials you need. So here's your reminder to make your life a little easier this season. Shop favorites from Staples, Best Buy, and Costco, all delivered through Instacart, so that you can get some time back and do whatever it is that you need to get your life back on track. Instacart, we're here.
What a great story. It's really reminding me of Harry Potter and like the night bus, the night bus and the Dementors. That's what I saw.
They made it take a detour.
Yeah.
Like the cloak people done it.
Yeah, definitely. So do you think it was like some ghostly thing or UFO thing, or what are your thoughts on it?
They were practicing their hypnotizing.
Do you think they were like, yeah, we'll have a go on this bus?
Yeah.
That girl got off. It's just such a great story. It really is. And I'm so glad that I found it so we could cover it. We have actually got another on the extra this week. Is another bus story to complement this one. So don't forget to tune in for that. But yeah, Dementors kind of trying out their hypnosis. I wonder what would have happened if the bus hadn't been intercepted by the police and they'd put a stop to it, you know?
Yeah.
I really do. And I shall always wonder, because we have no answers.
Well, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
We will indeed. I'll catch up with you tomorrow for Obscurata, Wednesday for the Reddit episode, Thursday with Toby for the extra and Obscurata, and then again on Sunday for the Haunted episode. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Popsicles, sprinklers, a cool breeze. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing this summer? A brand new phone with Verizon. Yep, get a new phone on any plan with Select Phone Trade-in and My Plan. And lock down a low price for 3 years on any plan with My Plan. This is a deal for everyone, whether you're a new or existing customer. Swing by Verizon today for our best phone deals. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Ready for a healthy, stress-free back-to-school season? Thrive Market's got your back with easy, high-protein meals, brain-boosting lunchbox staples, and low-sugar snack packs. Everything to simplify your busy mornings. Their groceries are high quality and no junk. Over 1,000 sketchy ingredients restricted and all trusted by parents so you can shop worry-free. Plus, their big back-to-school sale makes it the perfect time to stock up. Go to thrivemarket.com/podcast for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 7 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.